Go nervous system. Now, the structure that's present, the exit for the urine out of the kidneys are the ureters. They are a muscular tube. They travel all the way to the bladder. They enter on the posterior side. It moves the urine from the kidneys to the bladder by peristalsis, which is a wave-like fashion, like constrict, relax, constrict, relax, constrict, relax, constrict, relax, all the way down that ureter into the bladder. Those contractions, that peristaltic movement, it's pretty much occurring all the time, all right, because we're constantly producing urine. When we talk about the bladder and the urinary bladder, note that I'm trying to point that out because you have other areas of your body that have the term bladder associated with it, okay? So if you're talking about this area of the body, signify urinary bladder. It's a muscular sac, and the muscular portion of it, because it's got 3 layers, all right, middle layer is the muscular portion. This is given the term the detrusor muscle. So if you look at the bladder sac, the middle portion of it, it's smooth muscle, and it's termed the detrusor muscle. Do you remember when we were looking at cell structure back in part 1, and you looked at what was termed transitional epithelium, where it looked like it was flat, or, you know, cell structure like a cube? That is the structure of the lining of the bladder. It is a perfect structure because it allows for when we urinate, the bladder actually goes flat. And as more urine makes its way to the bladder begins to expand. So that transitional epithelium allows for that to occur. And we're going to see that it's also lined with some mucosa so that we don't have any problems with the acidity of the urine. The urine, it should be a little more acidic than the blood. The blood should be roughly about 7.45. The urine holds right, I think it holds at around 6.7 or 8. Don't quote me on that, I have to look it back up, okay? When the bladder is moderately full, it can hold about 500 milliliters. Now, how many is that?
509. 354 milliliters.
Wow. So at moderately full, this much. I hate to see what full is, okay? Because I just don't think of my bladder being that big in the body. And that's
354, so this is like half.
This is a little over 3, this is like 350. Ooh, and that's heavy, okay? So, the structure that we have for the urinary system, well, there is a difference for male versus female, and there's a lot of other information given to you about the structure that plays into the reproductive portions for the male. But here's the things that I want you to pay attention to. Okay, the urethra, which is the portion that allows for urine to pass out of the body. Note that we have 2 sphincters for the control of the fluid in the urinary bladder. So, the passing of the urine is affected by what we know as our internal sphincter, which would be smooth muscle, and my external, which is skeletal muscle. This is the one you train. When you're getting potty trained, you're training the skeletal muscle. Now, when we look at how the filling of urine occurs in the bladder, because the bladder is smooth muscle, along with other two layers that are present, the one thing we're going to have is innervation. This is going to be structure that is innervated. So, guess what we have? We have nerve pathways. They are sympathetic pathways. Their job: don't let the bladder void while it's filling up with the urine. Okay? We don't want that. I don't want that. I don't know about y'all. I don't want that. Okay? Now, as it fills up with urine, okay, you begin to feel that. You get that feeling. Okay? You're drinking your big gulp. Going on about your business. And you're kind of like, whew, no, I can go. No, I'm good. Keep going, drinking more, and eventually you're going to get to the point where it's like, get me a bathroom right now. Because as it fills up, the muscle has to relax. That internal sphincter, smooth muscle, okay, it gets excited a little bit. Well, if it's getting excited, that means we're getting action potentials, okay? Now, the external sphincter, made out of skeletal muscle, that's one we're controlling. We're holding, okay? Well, after you've learned that with potty training. Now, the actual act of urination is micturition. And that is the term it will be called. Okay? It will be called micturition. It is controlled by the micturition reflex because it is nerves involved. This is what we get. Doesn't that look like fun? Oh, yes, it is. It's fun.
Can I ask you a quick question? So I don't know if this has to do with that part. You know how like you've got waves, like you'll have like intensity, where you have to go to the bathroom and then it like goes away. So you can't get to the toilet right away. Does that have to do with the waves you were saying?
For the peristalsis? No.
That's separate?
Yeah, that would be strictly this portion right here.
Okay.
So, if you think about that, okay, if you think about, okay, well, the urine is being constantly created. It's entering on that posterior side from the ureters, okay, and it's constantly dripping down, dripping down, dripping down, okay. So, some people can't hold an amount like other people do, okay? So they might get that need sooner than others, okay? And what will happen is, it's all going to be on this nervous stuff. Basically, there's an ignoring of the impulses. But those impulses will get stronger to the point that the body is not going to let you forget it. Okay?
So by ignoring them, you make your muscle stronger. By
Now,
not going on the first wave. Okay.
I know what you're saying, okay? However, this is smooth muscle. I do believe there is some meaning to, okay, don't go just on the first impulse, all right? And that's supposed to like increase the bladder's capacity, that sort of thing. But at the same time, there are other things that could become an issue, like that runs the risk of increasing infections and that sort of thing. So I know what you're saying about that. Now, here's what's going to happen, okay? Like I said, we are in this control, okay? We are in the control of this external sphincter. The internal sphincter, that's going to be under control of this reflex, okay? Now, because this detrusor muscle, this middle portion, which is that detrusor muscle, that one is innervated. As the bladder begins to fill, we're going to find that located in this muscle are stretch receptors. And as they stretch, they're going to send their information. They're going to send their information by way of the spinal cord. So, as the stretch receptors detect the stretch on the bladder, what they're going to do is they're going to transmit that information to the spinal cord. The signal is going to return to the bladder from lower segments of the spinal cord, and then we're going to get signals that are exciting that muscle, and we're going to see that we can have those signals begin to relax my internal urethral sphincter, the one that is smooth muscle. Now, urine is getting voided, okay, but we're holding it based on our skeletal muscle. So note, it's making its way, bladder's filling up. As that continues to happen, we are going to eventually get that signal. And for our voluntary control, okay, once again, we're passing by way of the spinal cord to eventually get the excitement to our skeletal muscle for it to release so that we can void the urine from our body.
How long does it take for, how much urine is in your bladder before you actually get the feeling?
Now, that's where it can vary for people, okay? Some people can go way past that 500 milliliter mark, and I mean, it could be 600 milliliters before they actually are like, oh, I gotta go, okay? Other people, it can be as little as 300 milliliters, and they gotta go.
And they get the trigger, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone's bladder is roughly the same size.
Roughly. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So once you're born, what happens before you have things? Like that always happens, like before you have control of.
Before you have control of the skeletal muscle portion, the reason they wear diapers, because the skeletal muscle is not doing contraction or relaxation. Urine comes through, boom, it's going. And then remember, we return to that in the cycle of life.
Is that something that if you don't, I'm guessing I don't know, but is that something that you don't train humans still develop? Like potty training, if you don't like administer like training of it, and like gosh, if you do it, does it eventually happen? Is that something that's like wired into us that eventually that control gets to the muscle, or?
Like, do animals, like mammals, like, do they do that? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
obviously,
like, you know, if you think about, for example, a puppy.
but we do that, we train them. Like, if we
Yeah.
didn't train them, would they, like, do it themselves, naturally?
They would just go wherever they want, whenever they want.
I'd
Okay.
imagine that there were instances for survival that they would have to hold it, so it's like, they would have to train that skeletal muscle.
Good question. I'm pretty sure that's one that psychologists and sociologists are looking into. Yeah.
I know an 11-year-old girl who she still went to bed because her body doesn't get that signal ever. Like she was born, something with those neural pathways isn't there. Probably never will be. She's probably gonna have to.
No matter what the training is.
Yeah.
Oh, those are hard.
I know.
But, and you can also stir it just like other way, I mean.
I guess if you just can't learn it, like if you're brain, you just can't. I mean, she just physically doesn't have like that pathway. There's something wrong with it. Like it's nothing to do with like her urge or not. It's just like.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Covered.
And I'm sure the other ways, I'm sure there's definitely, because I'm sure there's cases out there that are like that, yeah. Now, the last part that I'm going to talk about for this chapter is dialysis. Mainly because this is something that you're probably going to come across. And when we talk about dialysis, it is hemodialysis because it is to cleanse the blood. Heme, okay, meaning the blood. A lot of disorders, diseases, cancers, there's a lot of things that can destroy the nephrons of the kidney. And this hemodialysis that people can get, the job is to artificially clear the waste from the blood. Usually what happens, you know, people have to go to the dialysis center. However, there are forms of dialysis that people can do at home, okay? From what I understand, it's a really rough process that takes place. But at the centers, and they have to go to the dialysis centers, you know, if they have that internal dialysis at home also. What happens is they hook you up to the machine and they hook it up by way of an artery and the vein. The blood will get pushed or pumped into this chamber that has a selectively permeable membrane, and the waste gets pushed into that chamber, and so the blood, all right, gets cleansed, and then it will return back to the body. And they'll base the dialysis treatment on how long the body can withstand the waste. So you might have to go every day, every other day, every third day, and get this treatment done. Okay? So, yeah. Usually dialysis treatment centers are open 7 days a week, I think. So, that officially ends Chapter 23 as well as a lecture from me. I will see you all next Thursday.